which was part of the Illinois Legislative Black Caucus's economic pillar from the 2021 reform package. This bill was supposed to help businesses like ours, Black-owned, women-led, rooted in our neighborhoods, finally get a fair shot at state contracts and opportunities that for too long have gone to the same big names for over all of the years. It also created an equity commission to make sure that the system would finally be transparent and accountable. But here's the truth. Just because a bill passes doesn't mean the work is done. Senate Bill 1608 gave us the blueprint, but now we need to actually build the house. Our practice, like many other groups, are trying to grow, to hire from the community, to treat people struggling with mental health conditions, to bring trauma-informed and culturally competent care to places that have been left out. But it's hard to access, still hard to access those state dollars and opportunities that were meant for us. So we're asking our legislators, thank you for standing with us when this bill passed, but now we need you to walk with us to make sure it's fully implemented, enforced, and that the outreach doesn't skip over the very communities that it was designed to help. To our community, we're asking you to pay attention. This law passed because of our voices and our organizations and our demands, and it's time that we continue to show up and let's hold our legislators accountable to keeping the promises that they provided and make those a reality. So I'd like to pass it now to one of my colleagues who will talk further about these economic pillars and how it's impacting our communities, Mr. Samuel Wilson from the Illinois Black Hemp Association.
Good afternoon, and thank you for this opportunity to speak. My name is Samuel Wilson, and I'm the Executive Director of the Illinois Black Hemp Association. Today I stand here before you not just to talk about hemp, but about what hemp represents. Hemp represents healing, it represents sustainability, and most importantly, it represents opportunity. But only if we fight to make sure that opportunity is shared. The hemp industry is exploding with potential, from farming and processing to wellness products and green construction. This crop can transform local economies. But let's be honest, the same forces that have historically shut Black communities out of wealth-building opportunities are already positioning themselves to do it again. We've seen the story before. We've watched generations of Black farmers lose land. We've watched Black entrepreneurs denied capital. We've watched Black communities over-police, over-penalize, and then excluded from the very industries that grew from that pain. Economic justice in hemp means we stop that cycle. It means we put resources, land access, licensing, training in the hands of Black growers and in Black entrepreneurs. It means policies that don't just open doors but remove the locks altogether. This isn't about charity, it's about repair. It's about power. It's about ensuring that the people most impacted from the criminalization of cannabis are now at the forefront of economic rebirth. If we get this right, hemp can be more than a crop. It can be a catalyst for generational wealth, community ownership, and true economic liberation. Let's not miss this moment. Let's invest in equity, and let's fight for economic justice in hemp. Thank you. Next speaker will be Derek James from Build Brighter Futures. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Hello, good morning, good morning. My name is Derek James, and I'm the Director of Outreach for Building Brighter Futures Center for the Arts, formerly the Better Boys Foundation, a community-based organization on the west side of Chicago, serving the North Lawndale and the surrounding communities for over 64 years. I'm honored to be here on behalf of our CEO, Dr. Pamela Blackman, and the rest of our BBF team and family in Chicago. As part of the Illinois Black NFP Coalition, BBF stands at the forefront of creating pathways toward economic access and opportunity for Black and Brown communities across Illinois. At BBF, we believe the true equity begins with investment. Investment in our youth, our entrepreneurs, our families, and our non-for-profit organization with boots on the ground doing the heavy lifting every day. From our scholarship programs that help first-generation students get to and through college to workforce development partnerships and grassroots advocacy, BBF ensures our communities are not just seen, but supported. Economic access is just not about income, it's about infrastructure. It's about building systems that allow small Black and Brown-led nonprofits to thrive, hire, and expand their impact. BBF has demonstrated that when given the proper resources, nonprofits don't just survive, we scale, we innovate, and we lead. today is about more than a testimony, it's a call to action. We are urging lawmakers to recognize the power of community-rooted organizations and to prioritize policies and funding that sustain our work long-term. Because when you invest in BBF and organizations like ours, you're investing in building brighter futures where equity isn't just a buzzword, it's a reality. So it's important that we get the support from our legislators. Thank you for your time and your attention. Have a blessed day. Next, I'll be introducing my brother, Tyrone Mohammed. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Tyrone Muhammad. I'm the Executive Director of ECCSC, that's ex-cons for Community and Social Change. Let me begin by saying access, equity, and opportunity are not handouts. They are human rights. But for too long, our communities, especially those returning from incarceration, and the youth we fight for every day, have been locked out of the very system built to serve them. When we talk about economic access, equity, and opportunity, we're talking about the very backbone of public safety, community well-being, and long-term transformation. These are not abstract ideas. They are urgent necessities. The truth is, far too many of our constituents, especially returning citizens and at-risk youth, are still trapped in cycles of poverty, exclusion, and disinvestment. Not because they lack potential, but because they lack access. At ECCSC, we know that economic justice is the foundation of public safety. You cannot expect peace where there's no food on the table, no job at the end of the day, and no hope for tomorrow. Access to opportunity must be more than a slogan. It must be a system, one that reaches our neighborhoods, invests in our people, and remove the barriers that hold us back. Economic access means opening doors that have long been locked. Access to housing without discrimination, to workforce training that lead to real careers, and to funding for grassroots organizations that already know how to reach people they are serving. Equity means recognizing that justice doesn't look the same for everyone. It's not about leveling the playing field, it's about rebuilding the field entirely for communities that have been shut out for generations. Equity is not about giving everyone the same thing. It's about giving people what they need to succeed. That means reimagining how we invest in education, job training, mental health care, and housing. Not just in the boardroom, but on the blocks where real life happens. It means valuing lived experiences and bringing returning citizens into the center of rebuilding our communities. We've proven that when you give our people tools instead of chains, when you give us dignity, purpose, and a paycheck, we don't just survive, we lead. And opportunities, real opportunities, come when policy meet people, when legislation support reentry, prioritizes mental health and trauma recovery, invest in Black-led organizations, and remove systemic barriers to economic mobility. Opportunities must be intentional, it must be inclusive, and it must be sustained. If you want to lead in cycles of violence, if you want to lower recidivism, if you want to build a stronger, safer city, then start by investing in the people closest to the pain. Because we are also closest to the solution. ECCSC is doing this work every day on the ground, but we can't legislate from the streets. We need you, the policymakers, to stand with us. We are not asking for favors, we are demanding a future. A future where every person, no matter their past, has a pathway to contribute, to build, and to thrive. Our ask is simple: write laws that open doors, fund programs that empower, not punish, and partner with us to build a future where safety, stability, and success are not the exception, but the expectation for every community. Together we can create a state where returning citizens aren't just returning and re-entering society, they're rebuilding it. This is the equation we must solve in solving for X. Not just for the sake of our community, but for the soul of our people. Thank you. And up next is Ms. Vanessa Smith.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me here today. I'm so incredibly grateful to be amongst these wonderful, fine, powerful people. And so I'm just happy to be here. My name is Vanessa Smith. I serve as the Executive Director of Southside Health Center. And it is a Black-led organization living our mission, serving people and strengthening communities. And we're on the south side of Chicago and beyond. The organization was founded by my late mother, Betty Smith, in 1987. And so for over 30 years, we've actualized our mission by providing people with positive and healthy alternatives through free healthcare, youth development services, parenting programs, food pantry services, workforce development, and trusted community health outreach. We do this with limited resources. But to be honest, hard is not enough. You know, when our organizations are underfunded and our communities are in crisis. That's why I stand here today with the Illinois Nonprofit Coalition to call out inequity and demand investment. We are not just service providers. We are the backbone of community service and survival. The people we serve come from all walks of life, from childhood to senior citizens. Our staff goes to events and gatherings across the city of Chicago, and we have a mobile health unit on the streets 7 days a week and many holidays. You know, Illinois owns data is sobering, right? We have 1 in 4 Black residents who live in poverty. We have 1 in 7 that lives in deep poverty. Black Illinoisans are 8 times more likely to experience homelessness than white residents, a disparity that is twice the national average. These numbers are not just data points. They are a direct reflection of systematic disinvestments. Generations of policy decisions that have left Black and brown communities behind. So we support the goals of the Illinois Commission on Poverty Elimination and Economic Security. We believe in reducing deep poverty by 2026, eliminating child poverty by 2031, and ending poverty statewide by 2036. But those goals mean nothing if Black-led organizations like mine, like the ones behind me, are underfunded and overlooked. This is why I am supporting the Human Services Equitable Pay Act, House Bill 2695, to ensure that equitable pay for nonprofits that serve on the front lines of this work, our staff who live and work in the community, and ultimately have the training and life skills to provide cultural competency to our communities. We are not asking for favors. We are demanding fairness. We are demanding economic justice. This is not about charity. This is about equity. This is not about gratitude. This is about justice. We are not asking for handouts. We are demanding what is rightfully ours. Black-led organizations must be at the table. We must be in the budget. We must be part of every policy decision moving forward. Illinois cannot lead equity while we are treated like an afterthought. Let's move from performance to policy. Let's move from statements to systems. Let's move from being seen as a gap filler to being recognized as a cornerstone of the state's human services infrastructure. Thank you so much. And now I will introduce my good colleague, Creola Hampton, CEO and founder of Black.
Wow, we need to move. Thank you. It is such an honor, such an esteemed privilege, blessing, privilege, all the above, to be among these constituents today of the Illinois Black NFP Coalition. That's what we stand, that's what we are, and that's what we stand for. And today, I consider it an honor to stand on behalf of the 19 Black-led organizations from across the state of Illinois that comprise Black. That's BLACHE, the Black Leadership Advocacy Coalition for Healthcare Equity in Illinois. We have courageous legislators putting in long days and nights to represent people and organizations in our communities. But all Illinois legislators must work collaboratively in order to make equity a way of life in Illinois. Despite the challenges of the unbalanced budget that we keep hearing about in Illinois, Illinois' economy is the 18th largest in the world. It's the 5th largest state to surpass $1 trillion in annual GDP. And despite the challenges that we hear about the federal government cuts, Illinois is a payer state, a donor state. In essence, we pay $40 billion more a year to the federal government than we receive. According to the Rockefeller Institute, in fact, Illinois ranks in the bottom 3 nationwide when it comes to return on federal dollars. Yet, 14% of the state's population is African American, while Black people rank highest in the rates of sickness and disease, foreclosures, Chapter 13 bankruptcies, homelessness, and yes, poverty overall in the state of Illinois. Yet when it comes to government funding to Black-led not-for-profit organizations and institutions that have the optimal and cultural competency in addressing the needs of our communities and have the optimal and dedication of services, government grants are inequitably lower. Just as 14% of the population of Illinois is African American, so too is 14% of the population of the United States. 19% of the population in Illinois is Latinx, so too is 19% of the population of the United States. Political leaders who are vying for national offices need to demonstrate effective and equitable leadership here in Illinois, right here and right now. If it takes a graduated tax to make the wealthy pay equitable tax rate, then it's time for our legislators to make it so. And yes, it's time for millionaire and billionaire white business owners to support it. We must support the Human Services Equitable Pay Act, HB 2695, because the majority of human services organizations that are inequitably funded to pay their staff a living wage are led by who? Minorities. And those staff are who? Black men and Black women. We must support the Illinois Commission on Poverty Elimination and Economic Security under the leadership of our own Senate Majority Leader, Senator Kimberly Lightford. The update provided by the commission demonstrates that not only is equitable funding needed, but rather that government agencies must dismantle systemic barriers so that both Black people and Black-led nonprofit organizations can be issued funding in a proficient manner in order to ensure just and equitable access to economic security and programs. Governor Pritzker and Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton, please keep your fingers on the pulse of our government agencies to ensure that when legislation for equitable funding is passed, that our departments implement what has been passed, and so that trusted community-based organization providers that provide services to Black people in deep poverty, particularly those that are HBCBOs, as Donald Du would say, those who are historically Black community-based organizations, get our fair share. Thank you. Any questions?
So, On behalf of the Illinois Black NFP Coalition, I just want to leave you with a couple things. You heard some amazing testimony and advocacy and ask today. And I heard a few things that I just wanted to make sure I highlight. We cannot build equity on paper alone. We have a framework. We need full implementation, oversight, and accountability of those, investment in that in order for those to not just be promises, but to actually be reality. I think I heard multiple times, we are not a charity cause. This is not a case of handouts. We are an infrastructure. We have longevity, and we have brilliant leaders at the head of these organizations that are poised and ready to do the work that they're already doing. I think I heard that too. We're boots on the ground already doing the work. And then lastly, I would say to our legislators, don't let Black-led organizations like these here, the ones that we represent, be an afterthought. I heard that multiple times as well too. As we roll out this economic pillar and we make sure that the funding is there, make sure that the dollars are flowing, we have to have the accountability as well. And so we know that when Black nonprofits win and thrive, the entire state of Illinois does as well. And so we thank you for your time, for your attendance, and for your commitment to this, to the state, as well as to your constituents. And we're looking forward to all of the things that we'll be able to do to raise up our communities. And on that, are there any questions?
Yeah, you guys mentioned some of the things such as workforce and re-entry force. Right now, there are a lot of workforce created by some lawmakers in this central Illinois area. Is there an area in Illinois that's missing those resources?
So I want to make sure that I hear your question correctly. So you said, we mentioned about re-entry and workforce development.
Yes. So
Are there areas of the state that are missing those?
Yes.
Okay.
To your question, I think that workforce, especially when you talk about reentry, that should start in prison. That's, to me, the programs are not efficient enough. From the construction, to the welding, to carpentry, to plumbing, to electrical. While those men are sitting in those institutions, they should be gaining viable skills. Me myself said that 21 years, I've watched guys do their whole time, never having one program, and not even being offered a program. Nothing but the language in themselves. So I think it starts there. And then even the companies that's out there that's getting state, federal fund and our tax dollars, they should open up more programs and opportunities for those most affected by unemployment. And I think that starts right there with the companies and communities, the companies and businesses right in our communities, especially if they expect to get government funding and receive funding that's come from the people. So I think we can do it right there in jails, start in prisons and jails first, and then that translates to the streets.
Thank you. And just to kind of summarize to also your question, you've heard a number of our organizations speak about the lack. So not that those programs may not exist, but they're underfunded, and often they're sparsed in ways that they don't provide the whole wraparound for the communities that need them. And so, some of the language in the omnibus bills in this pillar, which I misspoke earlier, I apologize, it's pillar 3 in a little bit, so it's the third pillar of that bill. But it really speaks to enhancing these commissions, and so our ask is, let's implement it. Let's make sure that these commissions actually have the people that are doing the work on them. Let's make sure that the funding is actually going to those areas. It calls for a lot of studies to be done and all of these things, but they're not implemented. So right now, it's words on paper, right? And so our goal and our ask is to make sure that the legislators know we fully stand in support with them. We thank them for all of the work that they've done, but we're not done. We've got more to continue doing. And so that's why we want to stand in alignment and making sure that they know not only are we watching, but we're still working, right? And we really want to make sure that we're working as partners. And so on that, I thank you so much for your question. I thank you all for your time, and we'll meet later. If you can always email us and we can provide our contact information. Thank you.